Sting fan, and I've been kind of campaigning, if you would, for the Undertaker and Sting match to happen at WrestleMania 32 or WrestleMania 33 a year from now. Obviously, it's not going to be happening at WrestleMania 32 this year, and if anything, this match between Shane McMahon and the Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell, which is perfect for Sting to make an interference in when we least expect it to happen. The lights go out, here's Sting in the ring face-to-face with the Undertaker. He gives him the Scorpion Death Drop or the Scorpion Death Lock, whatever way it happens, and then Shane McMahon takes advantage with, say, the Coast to Coast, and then we have a face-off between Sting and the Undertaker, who probably come to blows at the end of WrestleMania, and then by the following Raw, the night after WrestleMania 32, we set up for the Undertaker versus Sting at one more big event, either SummerSlam or Survivor Series later on this year, or WrestleMania 33, because of some excuse of how the Undertaker needs to come to WrestleMania for one final match. And it's been talked about. I say this because I've read the articles on websites like ProWrestling.com and ProWrestling.net. It's been talked about for months about how the Undertaker and Sting would be the final match of, say, the Undertaker's career if the Undertaker was looking to retire. And he's been talking about retiring for a very long time. Now, I've spoken to a lot of people who were in close affiliation with the Undertaker over the years and all the years I spent in the wrestling business, and a lot of people believed the same thing. The Undertaker was going to keep on competing until he was physically unable to compete at the level that he did probably 10 or 15 years ago. And obviously, the Undertaker is slowing down a lot. We've seen this, of course, in years like 2014, 2015, pretty much over the last 2 years. The Undertaker's been really slowing it down, and I think he's not performing at a level, obviously, that he was 10 years ago, so I would understand why the Undertaker would be thinking about retiring. But when you're talking about someone like Sting, I mean, Sting has yet to have a career-defining moment in WWE, and this is why the argument will be presented that Sting will be retiring the Undertaker with a victory over the Undertaker, because Sting has never won at a WWE pay-per-view since his WWE debut in 2014. That's over 2 years ago Sting debuted, and there's nothing really happening for Sting here. He hasn't even won at a major pay-per-view. You're losing to Triple H and Seth Rollins. Is that what you want your WWE legacy and career to be remembered for after you defeated every major legend in the wrestling business, going into a Hall of Fame of a company that you never even won a pay-per-view match at or won a championship for? That's why I say defeating The Undertaker could be where Sting gets to the pinnacle of his career, and why, even more so, why this match really needs to happen, because something needs to happen for Sting, and something needs to really cap off a phenomenal career for The Undertaker, who was extremely loyal to WWE. I mean, Vince McMahon said it himself. The Undertaker is Vince McMahon's greatest creation. Let me say that again. The Undertaker is Vince McMahon's greatest creation, because nobody else has generated the revenue The Undertaker has or gotten the attention for Vince McMahon the way The Undertaker has. Wrestling fans always talk about The Undertaker. I can remember when I was 7 years old and people would talk to me about The Undertaker, and some people that I would even talk to at probably 5 through 7 years old were frightened to death of The Undertaker. When I would mention The Undertaker's name in conversation, they would run in fear and would not even want to talk about The Undertaker. They would change the subject of the conversation. They were so terrified of just hearing The Undertaker's name or even the thought of it because of the psychology The Undertaker showed us. And people still talk to me about The Undertaker and how he's their definitive favorite, or how they're terrified of The Undertaker no matter what age they are, because they know The Undertaker is one of the greatest psychologists of all time. Even if they don't understand what wrestling psychology really means, that's what it is, and that shows to me with how many people are afraid of The Undertaker from years past, or even now, of this generation. It's just amazing. It proves to me, it proves my point of how The Undertaker is one of the greatest wrestling psychologists of all time, and it wouldn't surprise me if people felt the same way about someone like Sting, who still needs that career-defining moment. I don't even care if it's in the way of just one victory for Sting. He just needs to win something in his WWE career. You can't tell me that he's going in the Hall of Fame with no win in WWE after debuting almost 2 years ago. It makes no sense to me. They bring Sting back to put him in the Hall of Fame, and he hasn't even won a match in the company or done anything definitive. Something has to give. Something has to happen for Sting, and The Undertaker versus Sting really is a match you can't get away with putting off and putting off and putting off. I go back and I'll reiterate what I said. The WWE seems to love to deprive us of what we want as wrestling fans because we are smarter, and they know we are smarter than we are ever given credit for. If we weren't as smart as what we are ever given credit for, the thing is, wrestling wouldn't be depriving us of what we want to see. They just have a point in time they want to give us a match like The Undertaker versus Sting, and there's a certain way they want to go about doing it apart from us as wrestling fans, because we as wrestling fans just want to see this match happen for the hell of it. We don't care about the storyline. We don't care about the psychology. We really don't give a fuck about how this match happens as long as it happens. And as long as it happens, even if it just happens once, at an event like WrestleMania or SummerSlam, we're going to come away happy because it finally happened, just as we were when John Cena and The Rock had their two matches at WrestleMania. Not too many people were fans of a sequel. The year after at WrestleMania 29 through 28 through 29, we had two Rock-Cena matches, with The Rock winning the first one and John Cena winning the second one, when The Rock probably should have won both matches if The Rock was just going to come in and go away eventually after holding the title for a number of months for WrestleMania 29 in New York, New Jersey back in 2013. You know, I wasn't really proud of how the match went because Cena won one, The Rock won one, and it was tied dead even with no definitive winner being determined in Rock Cena 3, which I still think needs to happen and probably will happen when they're in a place of desperation and they don't have anything to offer us as wrestling fans. You know, I think really what needs to happen are more dream matches in the way of even Steve Austin and CM Punk, because right now the New Talent Initiative is not being given that much of an opportunity, which is why one of the good things that could happen off of Shane McMahon taking control of WWE is more people will be given opportunities in the way of Sami Zayn's and AJ Styles. Even Samoa Joe and probably some debuts we'll see the night after WrestleMania, which probably will happen more so than ever before the night after WrestleMania when Shane takes control, because more of an opportunity he allows is going to be presented to wrestlers who have never been given opportunities. Things are going to drastically change with no authority, no Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon even bringing up the fact we could be seeing the last of him if The Undertaker is not victorious at WrestleMania. And he also alluded to the fact that fans wanted to see Shane defeat The Undertaker, which is something I don't want to see happen. I don't want to see Shane McMahon take control of WWE after 7 years. And I mean, who's going to argue that point with me given the circumstances of this match? And there are people who will say to me, you know, The Undertaker has to slow it down at over 51 years of age, turning 51 this month. I don't know what the date was, but I know he turned 51 this month. The Undertaker has to slow it down, pushing close to 60 years old. Give him 9 more years and he'll be 60 years old. Yeah, people may look at that as, you know, The Undertaker, you know, running out of gas and The Undertaker really needing to slow it down. And I understand how you feel that way about it all, but I think The Undertaker just doesn't need to go under these circumstances with how much is on the line and how much could drastically change. If I can steal a quote from Michael Cole a couple of years ago when Brock Lesnar returned, he said the complexity of the WWE had drastically changed, and no doubt it did then, and I think the complexity of WWE is drastically changing now with the circumstances now put on this match between Shane McMahon and The Undertaker. I can't even imagine the pressure that both of these wrestlers have in the main event of WrestleMania, given the circumstances it's happening under and why it's happening, given all these injuries of John Cena, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Sting. I mean, definitely everything's playing a factor as to why this match is happening, but really, I think The Undertaker versus Sting is the definitive hands-down choice over The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon, because nobody is really buying into this match. You don't understand how horrible this match looks on paper, and I think I can get away with saying that this is the most horriblest looking match on paper that we could ever have for an event like WrestleMania 32. So what's left to talk about? WrestleMania 33. And don't be surprised if I come away from WrestleMania 32 with more sarcasm and critical of a review for my WrestleMania 32 Fallout Shoot video from the AT&T Stadium, because to be honest with you, I don't see anything other than the triple threat match for the Divas Championship between Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch being a better match on the card this year. Really, the Divas is really where it's at this year at WrestleMania, because Shane McMahon and The Undertaker and Roman Reigns and Triple H are not what I want to be seeing at WrestleMania. At least over the last 20 years, we've seen far better WrestleMania cards than we do this year, because every big name on the roster would be in a major match at WrestleMania. Even last year, you had John Cena and Randy Orton in incredible matches with Rusev and Seth Rollins. And this year you have nothing. We've gone all the way from matches like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, which is decent compared to Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker and Roman Reigns versus Triple H. How does WWE get away with putting Roman Reigns in a WrestleMania main event after WrestleMania main event every year here lately, back to back, when Roman Reigns is not really even who we want to see as champion? We'd rather be seeing someone like a Daniel Bryan or a CM Punk be champion at this point, because any champion will be better than Triple H or Roman Reigns, and any WrestleMania main event in the same regard will be better than The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon. That's why I say The Undertaker versus Sting is something we waited long enough to see, and if it's going to happen, it either needs to happen this year or sometime within 2017, because it's a match wrestling fans have waited on forever. It's 15 years in the making, and if it needs to happen, it needs to happen now. And I think I've said enough about this, because it's true. No one's going to find time in arguing this point, and if you do find time in arguing this point, which I do appreciate, I don't really know what to say to you. I appreciate your diversity. You can leave it for me in the comments. of this video on my channel at Jonathan Clarke 22. You can tweet me on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke 1 and get in touch with me on Facebook and Google Plus at the same, HEW Entertainment for both social media sites, and let me know what your opinion is on the Undertaker versus Sting, and if in fact you agree with me on the Undertaker versus Sting match needing to happen, because I think it does, and I think no more needs to be said. I've called it the match of the century, but what do you think? Let me know. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, and I will talk to you again next week. Like what you hear? Tell us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.